What techniques do you use?
Well, we do like research on the internet. We can just look up articles and things like that. Sometimes our teachers will give a workshop, usually if it's a really complex subject, and we'll probably get mixed things from the internet. They'll kind of clarify. But yeah, if we have to move really fast, the teachers will give workshops because research does take a little while, especially because I mean it gets fast.
What do you do if there's someone in your project group that is working especially goofing off someone told me earlier, was how they call it?
Fire them.
Yeah.
Fire them. How does that work?
There are steps that each group makes in the group contract that like you get. It's different for all groups, but what I usually do is like we have like a verbal warning, and then like we send them an email like say, hey, you need to work on this or whatever at home, and then we have like a group meeting with the teacher and say like, okay, this person's not working or pulling their weight or whatever, and then if they still keep doing that after the third warning, then they're just fired, and then they have to restart the whole project by themselves.
Sometimes you have to adjust it depending on like what project you're in, and like depending on like what they're doing, how bad it's affecting like what your grade could be. If they're affecting you, like if you're doing a great job, but because of their behavior they're affecting the grade that you might get, and that's not the grade that should reflect off your work, then you would have to fire them earlier. And so you don't want, you're working so hard, you don't want this person's behavior or their lack of work to reflect on you.
No, so if the project is really quick, for example, if you're doing a 3-week project, you have the time to be like, I need you to do this, can you do this, and you can go through the steps. But sometimes we have really short projects that last a couple of days or a week, and when that's the case, you can say, we already wrote this research paper and you did nothing, so you're out of this group. Good luck.
Do you find that you've had to fire many people?
I've fired like 1 or 2 people in my whole career, and I'm almost done with high school.
1 or 2, like the 2 like first years, like kind of freshman and sophomore year. After that, you kind of start like people get it, and it's like I do not want to be fired, because definitely if you get fired late into the project, you have to do that whole project by yourself, and you have to do it in a short amount of time, and it's like it's not worth it at the end of the day. So it's like I should work and I should take my part and not get fired, or I'm going to be screwed.
I got fired once by a teacher for not doing my homework, and I had to start over from scratch because if you get fired, you don't get to take the work with you. So I had to start the whole project over, and I almost didn't make it happen. And it was the most stressful project I've ever done in my life. And from then on, I basically, like you said, got it and didn't want to get fired again and just kept it together. For math, the problem-based, in calculus we did something really cool. It lasted a day. And I guess I thought it was cool, but not a lot of, maybe, I don't know if you did, but we had this can, and there were these dimensions of the can, and you had to figure out how to maximize the volume while reducing the surface areas to save money on materials and give more product. And then we did that, and then we calculated if the U.S. produces this many cans a year, how much would they save if they use these dimensions instead? And I thought it was really interesting because I could see the application.
Because sometimes in calculus we're like, what is this used for? Why are we doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, what do people actually, does anybody actually use calculus, like, in real life? And so he gave us that, and we're like, oh, okay.
And the difference was millions of dollars.
I'd like an answer from everyone, but what do you think the best thing is about project-based learning?
Well, you just learn more from actually applying these skills rather than just solving a problem.
Why do you learn more from it like that?
Because you're using it to create this final product.
Like you're mastering this instead of just handing over worksheets to the teacher. Like you'll forget it sooner or later, but with the projects, like it sticks in your head because you had like a while to develop. Like okay, we have to learn this, and like you're in that mode, so you learn all that, and it just gets branded in your brain, so it just stays there.
It's really competition. You have to get up in front of your whole class and maybe even community members and a bunch of teachers, and you don't want to go up there and not know what you're talking about in front of everybody. And then there's that drive that you want to have the best project and you want to be better than everybody else.
So the competition is a motivation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Presenting in front of like teachers that you have like the year after that is intimidating. Like, cause if if you like totally bomb that project, because I've bombed projects before, it just happens. Within your 4 years, you're gonna do it at least once. And so like if you have teachers that are in the year before you and you bomb it, like that is the most miserable feeling ever. Because you know you're gonna walk into that class next year, and teachers don't actually do this, but it's in the back of your mind that they think that you're a loser.
I mean, if you
Well, how do you do that if you don't take a class?
We just pick it up really fast.
That's our generation.
Yeah. You just get an app and you play with it for a couple minutes.
And
you're like,
apples,
oh, I got it.
Well, the teachers were
Apple's
really helpful.
basic.
Yeah, and like the teachers were helpful because they had their iPads before B-Day, and so like when we'd have to use Notability for a project or some app that they're like, yeah, we've already tried this out, we've already learned it, so we didn't have to spend 3 days trying to figure it out. We spent an hour and they taught us. So I guess it's it just like it becomes really fluid, like with everything you learn. Like I don't know, we're really like we collaborate a lot with each other and we don't even know it. We're like, wait a minute.
Okay, so what we found out from our little investigation here is that basically we've got the project learning, but we've also got sort of separate lessons going over different skills, and it's important to make sure that you have a good combination of that it's not one or not the other. So, for example, if you're doing a math science project, you need to identify the different skills that maybe you need to teach beforehand, maybe do a project, then a different scaffolding lessons in between, then another project, and so on. It's not one project, one project, one project, one project.
Coming into this classroom and talking to the students here, we can see is they have had conventional teaching type lessons, and they've been actually working on genetics and dominance and codominance, and they've been taught those in a traditional way, set via some worksheets and some different activities in their exercise book. And all of this is leading up to them completing a project starting in the next week.
By the second day, kids were fighting, and I had kids time out. So-and-so didn't want to work with so-and-so, and the smartest kid wanted to do all of it, and other kids were just sitting there, and it was a huge mess. And one of the things that I realized is that collaboration is a skill that's required for project-based learning. And when our campus went to project-based learning, and we had to collaborate amongst teachers, I began to realize that even adults don't know how to collaborate. So my assumption that my students would just magically begin this collaboration thing was completely a bad assumption.